working on it.
Please, 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 don't prove
Greetings and salutations, guys. I'm here with my review of The Housemaid, new movie from director Paul Feig, starring Amanda Seyfried and Sydney Sweeney. This was an interesting one for me because I have not read the book upon which it's based. I know it is a big hit book with a passionate fan base just from recent years that even has some sequels, which makes me curious. But I was curious about the approach tonally here because I knew it's sort of this heightened suspense thriller, but I did wonder, okay, how much are they going to play this comedically, especially because Paul Feig's background is almost entirely in comedy. So you got Sydney Sweeney here playing Millie, a young woman who takes a job as a housemaid for a married couple who have a young child. The couple is played by Amanda Seyfried and Brandon Sklnar, and right from the start, something is off with this family. Everyone in this family is acting somewhat off, whether it be Nina the mom, or Andrew the dad, or even their little girl.
Millie's gonna be living with us, and she's gonna be helping with the cooking and the cleaning. And you know what? She might even play Candyland with you if you ask her with a pretty please.
She's gonna live with us.
Yes, Andrew, I told you that.
There is something strange going on here, but really the focus is on Nina and how Amanda Seyfried's character goes from being overly chipper, overly friendly, to suddenly showing a very, very dark side as Millie is trying to navigate this and keep her job.
Hey, 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 what's going on?
Millie! Threw away my notes for the meeting tonight. Where are they?
They also do that thing where you ask immediately, come on, why would Millie stay in this house the second that Nina freaks out on her and acts so dangerous around her? Wouldn't she just bail? And they try to make up for that by giving huge reasons, things going on in Millie's life where she's desperate for a job, that it really will affect her future if she leaves this job. And yet I still didn't really buy it, just because the level of what is happening here just outright seems like you are in trouble if you stay. So I couldn't really believe that, but I also know it kind of goes with the territory, whether it's a psychological thriller or a horror movie, to try to be like, all right, the character's staying. They shouldn't stay, but they're going to stay. Let's just go with it. This movie's premise, and certainly a lot of the specific scenarios, a lot of specific scenes, a lot of the specific moments are inherently campy. And what's interesting here is how straight director Paul Feig is playing all this. I mean, this is a guy with an amazing background in comedy. He's made a lot of great comedy movies. He also created one of the greatest TV shows, I'd say, ever. Certainly one of the best high school TV shows ever, Freaks and Geeks. Spy. Spy came out 10 years ago. So I can still say Spy is one of the best comedies of the past decade. He obviously understands that this is all kind of silly, but he never winks or nods with it. And that goes for the performances as well. I really appreciate the performances here because they're playing it straight, but they're playing it heightened. And that especially goes for Amanda Seyfried, because from the moment we meet her, this is a character that, is very mannered and speaks in a very specific way. And it just feels like, there's something off here, there's something manic about her. And then she gets to unleash and show a terrible side of herself that, this character is going to explode in anger at different points. And I really appreciated the fun that I thought Amanda Seyfried was having with it. But it never gets meta. It never is openly self-aware. And that's this interesting thing about it. So I think a lot of people, it's hard not to feel like you're laughing at the movie, right? Because there's just some very silly stuff happening. And there are love scenes where songs kick in and it becomes, this sort of very cliche moment. And there's all these heightened scenes and people appearing suddenly out of nowhere and staring at each other and all this intensity. And it plays it very straight. So you might think, I am laughing at this movie because it's all so silly. But you have to keep in mind that everyone making the movie knew what they were doing with this. And I do think it really pays off with the third act and the reveals that happen because, everything can't be what it seems in a movie like this. So we have to learn more. We have to get different perspectives. And I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun. Now, it's also ridiculous in its own way. I mean, there are some long-ass explanations in this movie. It's done mostly through voiceover and montage, where people are explaining a hell of a lot. But there was something I thought was almost charming about that it was just sort of leaning into the idea of the mega explanation and just going with it. So yeah, even I think whatever terms you take this movie on, whether you're thinking, okay, this is a self-aware psychological thriller that's having fun with kind of the cliches of that subgenre, or you think I am laughing at this movie, this is a very silly, cheesy movie, and I am above this movie, I think you're still gonna have a really good time with it. It's just kind of hard not to have a fun time watching it and kind of be along for the ride it's taking you on. And certainly by the end, I did appreciate, when it went to those more heightened places without ever looking at the camera and saying, yeah, we get it too. You understand that they get it too, that of course they do. Of course they know what they're doing. Yeah, like the whole cast here, like I said, Amanda Seyfried, I think, she's such an excellent actress. And I think that she is really, clearly, I think, having a ball leaning into this type of character. Sydney Sweeney, I like Sydney Sweeney. I haven't seen her in that many things, but I really liked her in Immaculate. I liked her in Anyone But You. And I think that she gives a good performance here, has this girl who we know from the start is also putting up a front, isn't what she seems. She's pretending to be more accomplished in life than she is. She's desperate for this job. And she is, of course, almost like the straight woman in this movie, where because everything else is this family acting weird around her. But I think she does a really good job here, and I think she and Seyfried have a good dynamic sort of bouncing off each other in the midst of this. It doesn't all work for me. There is a character of a groundskeeper in the movie, and again, there's some funny moments with him about the mysterious groundskeeper. What does he know? What secrets is he holding on to? But I don't really think it pays off well. They get a little bit about what's going on there, but it ultimately felt like an extraneous character that I didn't need. But yeah, by and large, this was just a very good time. I thought that this was, a certain type of movie embracing, it feels very Lifetime. It's very movie of the week, except it's made by very smart people and it goes a little extra step in its twists and turns in a way that I did appreciate. And I thought that, yeah, okay, they can really lean into this ridiculousness and, still have, some interesting stuff here as far as what's really going on, what's this movie really about, and what's it saying about certain types of people, without it being like heavily moralizing. I still did appreciate, it has a little bit of a modern lens on some of these cliches and some of the tropes of a movie like this that I think by the end they get to really have fun with and lean into more and more. So yeah, I'm curious about those sequels now. Will I read the books? I don't know. Maybe I'll wait and see if this movie is a hit if they make those sequels. But yeah, had a very good time with The Housemaid, which is in theaters this weekend. Thanks, guys. If you can like and if you can subscribe, that would be wonderful. All right, take care. Damn it, the second I finished recording this review, I remembered I was saying Amanda Seyfried's last name wrong, and I did it over and over and over again. Amanda, please forgive me.